A South African crypto investment firm has apparently shut down. Founders have absconded with a ton of money. So I'll lay out a bit of history of how this story started. Mid-April, Africrypt's investors were sent an email claiming that the platform was shutting down, freezing all accounts following a hack that compromised clients' accounts. And so investors were at that time apparently encouraged not to ask law enforcement. Said that it will slow down the recovery process, but then soon after this apparent hack, the Africrypt founders allegedly transferred the pooled investor funds from accounts across Europe, and they froze accounts, and then apparently the website was shuttered. They won't return investor calls. This could rank as one of the largest crypto cons in history. So I'm going to throw this to the group. Ben, I'm going to throw it to you to start. What are your thoughts on what's going on here? Because this is $3.6 billion in Bitcoin that's now missing.
Yeah, this is like, big Quadriga CX vibes, but 100 times. Like, this is so big. And just the nature of it too kind of follows all the different lines of skepticism that we've come to expect when there's exit scams or things like that in regards to these companies. What I found kind of interesting here, I mean, not only do you have founded this fund and have kind of absconded with this money, but they also, there was a note that they passed all of these funds through multiple Bitcoin mixers. So when I started hearing about that, and they said the law enforcement or the authorities, or maybe lawyers, I believe, were saying that it's kind of going to be untraceable in some way. So I'm waiting for one of our blockchain sleuthing companies to ride in here on a white horse and say, no, we can get this Bitcoin even though it went through all these mixers. So how effective that is in concealing where these funds are going, I think is going to be really interesting to watch. And then also looking at what the enforcement actions are going to be like, considering they seem to have absconded to the UK. So those are some of the thoughts immediately on this, but this is a massive amount of money, and I think it will have a huge amount of fallout if these funds are not necessarily recovered.
For sure. Will, what's your take on all this?
Yeah, I have a few different thoughts. So I guess from the perspective of the people who are chasing these guys, looking for the funds, that is the warrant for investing in firms like Chainalysis. And then on the flip side, when you have the ability to launder these funds and break up the transaction history so you can't trace the Bitcoin, that is the rationale for building out that kind of software. Like if you are a dark hat hacker and you want, or black hat hacker and you want to kind of get those funds away, that's why you invest in those things like Samurai or Whirlpool. So interesting to see, this is how those softwares are developed, these huge hacks where people lose millions to billions of dollars. But yeah, just putting that also in perspective of the larger crypto ecosystem, that's a lot of Bitcoin, first of all, and then compared to the Mt. Goxes of the world and the Quadrigas of the world, this is a huge hack. And it'll be interesting to see where the pressure comes down from. Is it going to be outside of South Africa, or is it going to be internal to South Africa? I'm sure that there's users from all over the world, even though that the exchange was located in South Africa. So yeah, definitely a huge story kind of flying under the radar today.
Jen, throw it to you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about these South African users, and I'm so upset for them. I mean, we talk about lack of trust in governments and financial systems, and I lived in South Africa as a journalist for 5 years, and that is the poster child for corrupt governments and a lack of trust in the police system. And so I think about these people who are looking for an alternative, and they found that in Bitcoin, and it just takes two bad actors to leave a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths and maybe turn people off of crypto in a place where they probably need it the most. But I'll throw this up to you, Zach, for your final thoughts. Or Ben. Ben's hand was up.
I'll do it quick, and then I'll give it to Ben. I just wanted to remember Quadriga CX, because it has been a minute since I thought about that, and that was just such a bizarre tale. But anyway, that's all I got. Ben, go.
No, I was just going to say, I think the South African aspect of this is really interesting. I too lived there, Jen, for a while, and sort of seeing the machinations and interactions between the different departments of police, and then also how they interacted with government and local politics is really fascinating. And particularly, looking at if they do call in sort of blockchain analytics companies, I've talked to those companies. They say they have internal standards about what governments they will or will not work with based upon things like civil liberties, based upon things like human rights abuses. And I think South Africa could present a really interesting case to examine just exactly what those look like because they declined to talk to me about what those guidelines actually do. And I was thinking, when I was writing a story last year, it's only a matter of time before it gets into a gray area. So we'll see if this might be one of those. But again, this is just the beginning of what feels like another yarn in the kind of crypto criminality exam world.
For sure. And going back to what we spoke about earlier in this show about this predominance of DAOs happening at the moment, and also the move towards decentralization, this is a classic case of why that might be useful. When you have these exchanges, when you have these investment firms just run off with people's money, you start to realize that there is just significant counterparty risk. There is just significant risk of central point of failure in these institutions, which is why so many people are just so bullish on a decentralized future and pushing towards that. If we can take out that fallible human element, that corruptible human element, then maybe we can have a better world where people can trust math instead of people with their money, which is a very exciting prospect. So very, very excited to see that future start to unfold.